Logan Paul is a party to 3 separate lawsuits right now, none bigger than the CryptoZoo lawsuit. The other day, Dexerto on Twitter posted Logan Paul's CryptoZoo lawsuit has been thrown out by a federal judge, seen by almost 15 million people in just a couple days. People were clearly upset when they saw this. Here's the order by the judge granting Logan Paul's motion to dismiss. That means he won, right? It was really interesting reading all the responses on the post, even including Zach XBT, who's one of the best guys in the crypto space on Twitter. There were a lot of people really upset and claiming that the legal system is so broken and that frauds can abuse inefficiencies and get away with crimes. In the order, there was a sentence I hadn't seen before, which was the counts 1 through 26. Plaintiffs are granted leave to amend. As to count 27, plaintiff's claim is hereby dismissed with prejudice. I didn't really know what that meant, so I went to a lawyer. Friend of the channel, Robert Freund, posted a response. The court dismissed the complaint with leave to amend the important claims. That means not so much thrown out as thrown out for now. You get another chance to make it stick. The last sentence is really key. Paul isn't out of the woods yet, meaning this case is far from over. I posted another couple responses because it was just so interesting to see so many people get so upset, including this crime is now legal statement that I see all over social media nowadays. It's not the case. Don't worry. This case is not over yet. Something that's really important that'll come up throughout this video is that when Logan Paul was sued as part of this CryptoZoo class action lawsuit, he turned around and filed another suit against Eduardo Ibanez and Jake Greenbaum, aka Crypto King. Those were his business partners. Those are the guys he's alleging did the wrongdoing.
The subject matter, you guessed it, a barrage of crypto-related scam allegations that I have heard before. Now look, you put the words Logan Paul, crypto, and scammer in the same sentence, you got yourself a never-ending goldmine of YouTube views. I get it. But as I said before, and I will maintain, I did not scam anyone. I made $0 off these CryptoZoo scam allegations. I don't know how many times I need to say it. I did the first ever buyback in NFT history. Shut the up.
Logan's stance has always been clear, that he's the victim here. It's that his ex-business partners were the ones that committed fraud. And so let's break that down and see if that's accurate. Logan's attorneys are stating that the plaintiffs failed to provide any factual support that Logan intended to defraud the users of CryptoZoo. They're not arguing that people lost money. They're just saying Logan Paul's intentions were not to screw these people over. It was a passion project. It wasn't an investment opportunity or a scheme to defraud them. They're basically saying that plaintiffs participated in this crypto or NFT project. They wanted to make money. They gambled and they lost. Their decisions to invest in a project was not an investment vehicle. This is a really important part. They argued this numerous times throughout this complaint, that the project was not an investment vehicle. And they also threw in that early 2024, after the CryptoZoo project had failed, Logan initiated a buyback program for the victims. January 4th, he filed the cross complaint against his former business partners. He's saying that the fraudulent inducement, fraudulent misrepresentations, it was those guys over there. It wasn't me, it was those guys. Logan posted on Twitter that he'd be happy to buy back all the victims' NFTs. They could go to the website. They had a couple weeks to do so, and that he'd be personally committing more than $2.3 million. I don't know the outcome of this, but if Logan is accurate, if he was offering to give back everyone's money, then I can see how he is claiming that he's innocent in all this, that he's trying to do the right thing. Again, everything is dependent on him actually giving the money back. If this was all just for show, then I think that is dirty, dirty, dirty. I don't have any information on this program. This was a section that I didn't fully understand, but it seemed important because it was mentioned a few times. Logan's attorneys are saying that for the plaintiff's misrepresentation claims, that the victims were misrepresented in what they were getting, found that Logan Paul's conduct caused plaintiffs' losses will depend on proof of plaintiffs' reliance. Basically, they were relying on his statements, including under circumstances where reliance is not required. Plaintiffs must allege that they would not have purchased CryptoZoo had they known the truth. What I was confused about with this is that they're basically saying that if the plaintiffs, they didn't prove that if the plaintiffs knew that the project would have never materialized, that they wouldn't have purchased the product. Well, that makes no sense, because it's like going to a car dealership. If you hand the dealer money and then they don't deliver the car, how do you prove that you wouldn't have handed money if you knew that the car wouldn't be delivered to you? I don't really understand that. Lawyers, please chime in the comments, because it seemed really important and seems over my head. Logan's attorneys utilized the terms and conditions of CryptoZoo to say that, hey, we warned you that this was not an investment vehicle. Plaintiffs' allegations demonstrate that they purchased CryptoZoo as an investment despite their warnings not to do so. Down here, you can see an important paragraph in the terms and conditions that these were not meant to be investment vehicles. These were art pieces intended for people to enjoy by collecting, not as a financial instrument. CryptoZoo makes absolutely no promises or guarantees regarding the value of CryptoZoo NFTs. These NFTs you do not buy and sell for a profit. You do so because you like the art. Before we discuss more of the case, I need to tell you about today's sponsor, Clean My Mac. I greatly value it because I use it regularly, as it saves my most precious resources, mental clarity, focus, and ability to be productive. Clean My Mac is your ultimate solution for Mac control and care. Every week, I use Clean My Mac to improve my computer computer's performance with just a few clicks. These benefits are why they were listed on Apple's 2025 App Store Top 25 Best Apps list. Smart Care, cleanup protection, performance, and applications are features that I've been using since I began using Clean My Mac 5 years ago. I've been able to eliminate duplicates, remove system cache, development junk, and unnecessary files that can easily take up space, and also to keep my Mac protected with Moonlock anti-malware engine. It's the holiday season and I'm always in the mood for cookies, but it's important to keep in mind that cookies on your computer need to be cleaned out regularly. Clean My Mac clears the wrong cookies so you can enjoy the right ones. I use my computer for work every day and I'm in a creative industry, so Clean My Mac provides a lot of value for me because a fast computer is necessary. Creativity can't thrive with too much clutter, which is why using their tools is essential. Get tidy with Clean My Mac today, try 7 days free, and use the code SPENCER for 20% off. By definition, the word scam means a product or service not delivered. It's my understanding that CryptoZoo was never delivered upon. Certainly the promises weren't delivered upon, so is CryptoZoo by definition a scam? Yes. Now Logan Paul was obviously a participant in this. He was a very vocal member of the team building CryptoZoo. The question though that's really important is he liable for the damages experienced by the plaintiffs, all the people in the class action who said they lost money? Is he going to be liable for these damages? The key question that Logan's going to have in all these cases, can he prove that he's a victim? Now, I know a lot of you out there see that word, Logan Paul victim, there's no way, he's a scammer. I understand where your point of view is coming from, but I'm saying from the legal point of view, there is a chance that he can claim that his ex-business partners, and this is what he's trying to do, this is what his attorneys are trying to do by filing the complaint against his former business partners. He's saying, those guys committed the fraud, not me. This paragraph is describing how the victims purchased Zoo tokens and Zoo NFTs through a secondary market. Even one example is a guy spent $40,000 to purchase Zoo tokens because a friend recommended it. And so the last sentence is really important. The defendants couldn't have driven any expectations of profits in the Zoo tokens or Zoo NFTs because it's in a secondary market. They don't have any control of that market. It's just a marketplace where people buy and sell. There happen to be more sellers than buyers. Three really important questions that Logan's going to need to answer is, can he actually prove that his business partners were the ones profiting from the project? Whenever you have victims, especially millions of dollars, that money went somewhere. So where did it go? If he can prove that his former business partners were the ones committing fraud, in this case, it is a alleged pump and dump scheme. Basically, they had all these tokens, and right when they went public with the project, they sold to the public. That is a pump and dump. Can Logan prove that he made $0 and didn't sell? I haven't seen any proof to validate or invalidate that claim. That is going to be a really important element in this case. So if he's able to prove that he didn't profit at all, he wanted to give money back to all the victims, make them whole. He didn't make a single dollar, and it was all of his business partners. It was their fault. I think he has a good chance of getting this case dismissed. In case you were curious about count 27 that got fully dismissed, these couple paragraphs explain what it was. Essentially had something to do with futures contracts. I'm not entirely sure why this was included, but all of the victims purchased on spot rather than future contracts, and so at no point do plaintiffs allege that they purchased the tokens or NFTs for future delivery, so this one seems kind of irrelevant. A major element of the original complaint, the class action lawsuit, is that all these victims spent money on this crypto project, this NFT project, and it was seen as an investment opportunity. They lost everything. It was a fraud scheme. However, the defendants in this motion to dismiss are saying it was never meant to be an investment opportunity. So their unjust enrichment claim, therefore, is not that they did not receive the product that they paid for. They did. So the defendants are saying that they actually got what they paid for. The problem is that they did not receive the investment returns that they unreasonably expected from a product that defendants had marketed as something else and expressly disclaimed as an investment. The italicized portion of that is important. That goes back to the terms and conditions. They keep utilizing that as saying, hey, this was never an investment opportunity. We're innocent. Logan Paul sued CoffeeZilla for defamation because he was the one who exposed the CryptoZoo scheme in a trilogy and talked about this case many times, even alluding to Logan Paul possibly being a scammer. Who's winning that case? Hate to break it to you, but no one wins in a lawsuit. You've probably heard this before. It's cliche. The only people winning in this case are lawyers because they're racking up multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. You heard that correctly. Hundreds of thousands of dollars on each side in order to litigate this case. What's going to happen is CoffeeZilla is going to spend $300, $400K, and in a couple years, that's right, it's already a year and a half in, they're still not done with discovery, so I'll point out this document, it might be hard for you to see, but the yellow shows that right now we're up to 147 filings in this case, and they're still in discovery, about a year and a half in, and there's no winners. So CoffeeZilla in a couple years is going to wake up one day, there's going to be an order from the judge, and he's going to read it, and it's going to be very full of legalese, and after reading about 5 paragraphs, he's going to read the bottom, and it's going to say, the judge finds that CoffeeZilla did not commit defamation against Logan Paul. Order dismissed or motion for summary judgment granted for the defendants. Congrats, and you feel like you won. I've been through this. I know what it's like to spend $350,000 and wake up one day and you read a paper and it's like, oh, congrats, you didn't commit defamation. What we already know. This is a slap lawsuit. Logan Paul is a very wealthy man, sued CoffeeZilla because he was upset that the videos went viral, and this is his attempt to silence criticism. I've been through it. I know what it's like. CoffeeZilla is probably He hasn't spoken about it publicly. I'm sure it's very much affected his life. It is a horrible situation. I'm really upset that it happened for him. But it's really frustrating that the legal system allows for this. And that's essentially going to be the outcome. CoffeeZilla is going to win this case, but no one won. He's not going to win. When it's over, when CoffeeZilla won the motion for summary judgment, that's winning the case. When he finds out the motion for summary judgment is granted, he's going to realize he spent multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get that document. That single document, it's worse than college. You get one document and congrats, you won. You didn't commit defamation. Unfortunate. A couple weeks ago, I saw Logan Paul was in another lawsuit suing an auction company over a Jordan signed court. He sued Heritage Auctioneers and Galleries, Inc. Here's the item he paid $562,000 for. It's a piece of court from the Chicago Bulls era when Michael Jordan was winning championships. He won this auction in August of 2025. He was the highest bidder. It's so wild to see, $562,000 for a piece of hardwood. This lawsuit ties into everything else I'll explain in just a minute, but essentially this case is that Logan Paul could not authenticate that it was court from the years that they allege. As a result of these glaring authenticity issues, Logan reached out to Heritage to request various documents and information in order to be able to determine the item's authenticity in advance of sending the $563,000 to fully complete the payment. I think this lawsuit actually came about from something that happened a couple years ago in a video titled "I Lost $3.5 Million on Fake Pokemon Cards."
Dude. Motherfucker. It's f***ing fake, bro. It's f***ing fake.
That was him realizing that he had spent $3.5 million on the fake Pokemon set, and there were a couple authenticators in the room with him. My guess is because of that experience, he's now very cautious with any future payments towards collectibles, and he wants to absolutely verify that it is real. This Twitter account was listed in the complaint as an expert in these type of collectibles, given his name, Goat Collect Chase Jordan. He seems like an expert, and he pointed out some issues that could lead to this item not being authenticated. I brought up that complaint because I think some fair criticism that you can throw at Logan is that he has money for this $500,000 useless collectible, even though I know some of you think this is really cool, and yes, it's very cool to have some hardwood from the Jordan era Bulls. He's spending $600,000 on that between lawyers for this case and the $556,000. He'll easily clear $600,000. The lawyers in the CoffeeZilla legal dispute, that'll be hundreds of thousands of dollars. And there's also an outside chance that he has to pay CoffeeZilla's attorney's fees. And so that could lead to $1 million total. And then he just recently bought a $30 million house. I think fair criticism towards Logan is that he obviously cares about his reputation. That's why he sued CoffeeZilla. He doesn't need the money. This guy's worth tens of millions of dollars. I actually think he's worth 300 million plus. But anyway, he obviously cares about his reputation. That's why he sued CoffeeZilla. So he doesn't really need the money, and he obviously cares about his reputation. And he's a social media influencer. His reputation matters. Why did he spend all this money stupidly when he could have just given it to the victims? When CoffeeZilla first released his trilogy, Logan Paul's first video, the comeback video, was him attacking CoffeeZilla. That was horrendously bad PR. If he would have teamed up with CoffeeZilla and came out and just said, hey, you know what? I'm wrong in this case. Let's make this right. Let's team up together. It would have been the best PR of his career. He could have used all this money that he's spending anyway. It's out of his pocket anyway. He could have teamed up with CoffeeZilla and given all the victims their money back and had the best PR campaign on YouTube history. And yet he didn't. I understand that Logan Paul thinks he's a victim in the CryptoZoo scandal. However, he was a part of it. He massively promoted it. He is a massive influencer. He knows the responsibility he has when he's that size. People spent millions of dollars collectively to buy into something that he was promoting. He could have waited to promote it until the project was done. He did not deliver on a project that was promised and promoted all over his social media. So I think it's a little tone deaf when there are still victims out there. He's still trying to fight. He's spending hundreds of thousands on legal fees to fight. And then he posts videos about buying a $32.5 million house. He's got all the money in the world. He could have solved this. That is what upsets me most. Even if Logan Paul wins the case, and I hope none of you take this as like a biased video. I'm just reporting on what I see and what I find in the lawsuits. Logan Paul is probably going to he's going to eventually, I think, win the CryptoZoo case. I think he's going to end up being found not liable for the damages. But I just think he could have gone about this in a much better way. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching.